Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Cancellable Podcast. My name is Bardia. I'm here with Kurosh
Hey, what's up?
and Faisal.
Hey everyone, how are you?
What was it like? You're sending what was that thing like the Morse code? Hey, what's up?
Was it me or him? Yeah, what the hell,
Hey,
Korosh?
What did I do?
What's up?
All right.
Hi, I am here on my own free will.
Well, I guess
Yes,
you two feel like being cunts today.
Jesus Christ.
But I think we have to address something very important. Korosh, you're getting a fandom going on.
It was one person, bro. It was one person.
It starts with one person. Look what they did.
What the fuck? I get one good comment. No. No. What the fuck?
Oh, well, my laugh came out weird there. You heard that?
Yeah, well. Strong start, boys. Strong start.
I get one good cut, and that's I'm gonna throw up. Whew, that went weird. Okay, but
Should we take a break?
2 minutes in, I like it. But
So we stopped you before you wanted to get into it because we were like, let's start the cameras. Start the cameras. You're watching a documentary.
yeah, I don't know. I've been on some sort of like binging spree, watching Mike Tyson, George Foreman, and I didn't know a lot about Mike Tyson. Of course, you know his boxing career, and you know that he's kind of a controversial boxer. But
Is he?
Yeah, he's a controversial. He's
How's it
he's
controversial?
still considered a sex. What is the word called? A registered sex offender. So
Yeah.
no, but it's legally. I don't believe it.
Yeah, but I don't think like anyone like that's not the first thought when Mike Tyson's name comes up, you know?
Well, I mean, people who
Unless
don't know.
you're the girl, I guess.
No, but like, if you think about it, you see a lot of from what I've seen in the documentaries and news articles, just recently he's been put into a good light, but he himself, and I give the guy kudos because a lot of people don't know his overall life, right? And I just burped. It's good.
You good, man?
I don't know, man. I was laughing and some weird shit happened, but
Something's happening.
so Mike Tyson, I think, is the first person. Like, have you seen the news reports going out of like 12-year-old kids that look like they're 25, super jacked,
Yeah.
huge guys? So Mike Tyson was actually discovered at 13 years old.
Yeah.
And he went to a guy called Mike Cus D'Amato. Yeah. This guy was a boxing trainer, and he was very popular, but he was kind of at the time sort of pushed out of the boxing world
Yeah,
because
he didn't have a champion or like he didn't have
no, he did actually have a
not
champion.
at the time.
So he did have a champion when Mike Tyson was growing up, and training with him because he had a one guy, but that guy kind of at the end of it kicked out Cus D'Amato. Okay, and the thing is that what had happened with Cus D'Amato was he went against the boxing confederation because he considered them corrupt, which they were, right?
Still are.
Still are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Mike Tyson at 13 started training under this guy. And if you know anything about Mike Tyson, both his parents were in the sex industry. At 13, this guy used to be running around and trying to steal. You know, he was robbing people. He was in jail, like at 12 years old. He was in a juvenile detention center. And Cus D'Amato started training him and literally adopted him. He used to let him stay at his house. And imagine being a kid that's 13, doesn't have any parents, living in such a rough neighborhood, living in such a rough life. For someone to tell you, he used to always tell Mike Tyson that you're going to be a champion. And you have to he has a very nice quote, which I think is beautiful. He's like, you got to make fire out of your fear. And Cus D'Amato always used to talk about how fear is actually the most important thing to control in fighting.
Okay.
Because you have uncertainties when you're going into the ring, you have uncertainties if you're going to be successful. And Cus D'Amato used to be he used to tell his fighters, it's okay to be scared, but use it in the right way. And if you watch the documentaries between Mike Tyson and how he talks about Cus D'Amato, till this day he gets emotional.
Because every time he cries, like if he's on a podcast or something, like he cries about it.
And if you see, like it's so heartwarming because if you see how Cus D'Amato talks about him, he's like, that's my boy. He's like, that's my son, because he never had kids himself. He was around 70 when Mike Tyson was brought to him, and the guy even said in an article, he's like, I was ready to die. He's like, I had no reason to live, and then Mike came into my life, and I wanted to make him a champion. And he always said, if Mike Tyson has discipline, and if he wants it, he'll stay champion for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But then the sad thing is that Mike Tyson only had Cus D'Amato he was 13, he died at 19. So at 19, 20, Mike Tyson became world champion.
Yeah.
And unified 3 belts another time. And man, the guy used to end people in 1 round.
He was terrifying, man. If you watch it, like when he was young and he would like enter into like under 18 competitions and shit, no one would believe him because he was so built and jacked. They would think that like Cus is like fucking with his like ID and shit, and like he's underage. He's not actually underage, and he would like knock the fuck out of people like at that age. But the thing that Cus was doing to him is like actually that's a little like weird. Is he would hypnotize him. And then in that hypnosis state would tell him like shit, like you're a warrior, you're gonna like you
But do you think that's something that's wrong? Because Mike Tyson himself, he even says, I didn't think I was good enough. I didn't think.
Yeah.
And then Cus D'Amato put that I'm a warrior, I'm a gladiator, I'm going in there. And he had a famous thing where he'd never wear a robe and he never wore socks.
Yeah.
He's like, I like the feeling of the boots rubbing onto my skin because I'm in a battlefield.
Yeah.
You know? And it's just crazy that when you look at it, Mike Tyson was unstoppable. That first, let's say, charge to the belt, he unified the 3 belts. He beat everyone convincingly.
Demolished everyone. Like
demolished
everyone
them.
would get mad because you'd pay like, I don't know what the price was, like $40-$50 for the pay-per-view. I'll be done in like 10 seconds. So everyone's like, what the fuck, man? I just paid for this.
Commentators used to say, don't get milk from the fridge. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't do anything because Mike Tyson's coming next. Because he literally would get into the ring. And, you know, people used to say that Mike Tyson actually was very strong. But actually, Cus D'Amato taught him about the peekaboo technique.
Yeah.
So he used to bop and weave so much that, you know, you could never tell where his hit was going to go. And he was very fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Because he was smaller than everyone.
He was tiny. Compared to all the other boxers, he was a small guy.
Like legit, like 20 centimeters, 30 centimeters.
But built like
short.
a fridge.
Yeah, yeah. But he couldn't have survived today, though.
He couldn't?
No.
You think so?
The heavyweight class now, it's way bigger sizes than the heavyweight class then. Because Mike Tyson at his peak, he was like 210 pounds. Right now, the heavyweight is 260.
To be honest, I think...
Oh, bro, Tyson would piece him up. The new Tyson.
Tyson Fury.
Tyson Fury would piece him up. Bro, imagine how he's 6'7" or 6'8", 260 pounds, and moves almost as quick as Mike Tyson.
Do you know that...
I mean, this is never a fair judgment to say that like someone from a time before fighting someone now, but
it's not just about size.
Oh, it's 100% a lot of it about size. Especially in boxing, size plays a big factor.
How much strength you pack into the punch depending on the size.
Doesn't
maybe.
really... Like, I'll tell you something.
Sorry,
yeah?
I just wanted, because we're moving on. Like,
no
I don't
worries,
want
no
to
worries.
say 2 things.
Yeah.
One is that the hypnosis thing that you guys were talking about. I'm actually very interested about that because some people even say hypnosis works well with, like, for example, you have certain bad habits or something like that. If you do the proper hypnosis, that like you get hypnotized and like someone tells you, oh, you should stop doing this and everything like that. A lot of people's lives have changed because of doing
apparently
it. So,
hypnosis only works on certain percentage of people. Some people aren't capable of being hypnotized.
there's a trick,
or
like
easier.
the one that you look up and the light.
This is someone that's an actual hypnotist told me this, and not like a fucking backroom voodoo type of hypnotist.
Hippie, yeah.
Like an actual like doctor that does this for a living told me that certain people aren't they're not open. I don't know what it means exactly, open to it, but like some people's mind doesn't work with hypnotism.
Doesn't go to the trance.
Yeah,
that you
but
would
for
be able
some
to get
people,
hypnotized.
for example, like people who have like eating issues, like because I want to do it on my I want it to be done for me for like my eating problems and weight gain, and apparently it's possible for some people, but not for everyone. But it's definitely an option for like a lot of fighters after they lose, it's really hard for them to have like a good comeback. but they go to a sports psychologist and they hypnotize them to like build their confidence back up, and it works for some people, you know.
And another thing about when you said like he's built like a fridge like Mike Tyson, did you know that Rogan, first when he had the table that he did the podcast, he actually made the table wider after he had Mike Tyson on because he was like the guy is so big that when we were having
It's not even that. Have you actually seen that Mike Tyson episode?
I saw he was angry.
Bro, he was like, so Rogan was in LA, he had the big table. Then he moved to Austin in Texas and made the table smaller so he can feel closer. And then at that time, this was the second appearance of Tyson on Rogan. The first time he came, he was all fat and he was all calm and he was smoking and shit. The second time he came with the smaller table, I think he was like fully clean, ready to go on a fight, then training and shit. Bro, his energy was so scary. Like, and like at one point he said something, Rogan laughed, and then Tyson just looked at him and said, he's like, I'm not joking, or that's not funny or something. You just see Rogan just go like, all right, cool.
Bro, but you know, okay,
so he made they were wide.
Yeah, he's like, no, I can't be in the same room with this fucking
so
animal.
I need to make sure that if he throws a punch, I'm in a distance.
Yeah,
like
bro, I'll tell you, so that's actually very like good points. And I mean, I saw that Joe Rogan episode, and man, I'm telling you, you see a monster in Tyson's eyes. And the thing is that Tyson himself doesn't believe he's as dangerous in terms of his mentality as he was when he first started. Right. And to your point, although, I mean, I understand what you're saying, I still think Mike Tyson would eat them up because of that regime he had. If Cus D'Amato was still there, you had that young guy going into the thing now because his technique was fantastic.
Bro, he would beat. I'm not saying he wouldn't like be successful.
Only
I'm just saying
Fury,
Tyson Fury would, like Anthony Joshua, like all them fuckers are dead.
But can I ask you something?
Yeah.
You do know that George Foreman still has the record strongest punch.
I know.
Yeah.
But he didn't move quick. George Foreman wasn't a quick boxer.
No, but the thing is that, what's his name? Tyson Fury?
Yeah.
Tyson Fury, you know, granted, he's great, right? But I don't think he holds a candle to Mike Tyson.
You're wrong. This like 100% you're wrong. If you look at his size, okay, maybe not 100%, 99.9% you're wrong. Because if you look at the size, the weight, the agility, and the technique he has, if you see Mike Tyson side by side by Tyson Fury, you understand what I'm talking about. If he was this size and he was slow like a Foreman or like a Deontay Wilder or Anthony Joshua, granted, it's a fair fight. But Tyson Fury, it makes no sense with his body like type, with his height, with his weight, how he can move like that. Everyone says he moves like a middleweight.
That's the thing. So what do you do to a fighter that moves? You put them in the corner, right? And if you see Mike Tyson, what he does, he is a specialist at dealing with every kind. That peekaboo thing is perfect with dealing with people who either move or stand and bang, right?
One other thing you're not considering. Mike Tyson, the reason for, obviously there was like a couple of reasons for his downfall or like his like end of his career. But one was that towards the end, obviously he didn't have the same motivation, the same anger and all of that. But the other thing was Mike Tyson always said that he was scared as fuck when he fought. Cus taught him how to turn that fear into anger and project this like, oh, I'm not afraid or anything, right? But the thing with Tyson was like every time he couldn't knock someone out within the first round, it would become like if someone pushed back on him, could stand whatever he was throwing, that was the end. Mike Tyson couldn't fight back. If you look at his tail end of his career, all the fights he lost, it was because they stood in his face.
But okay, so I'll tell you, you're right in that sense, but there's also other factors to look
100%,
at.
100%.
So we're talking about the first segment of his life. The first segment of his life, Cus D'Amato was there. He even had a guy.
Can you also get into the sex offender thing? Because I don't know.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah. So the first segment of his life, he had a very good team around him. Cus D'Amato put people in his life that, first of all, his striking coach who was actually a disciple of Cus D'Amato, right? And also his management team were best friends with Cus D'Amato. So they looked out for Tyson. And they even said that it was actually very important that they made sure he didn't get distracted because he was a kid from nothing, right? He started knocking people out. He started becoming... Man, the guy... There was never a fight where he nearly lost in that first segment. where I think he went around to 38 fights. Yeah, and this is all at the age of 21.
That's pretty impressive.
He won the belt at 21. He became the youngest winner to ever win the belt. He started winning, and then Cus D'Amato died. He still had that team around him, but Don King came. And Don King is
like this big name promoter in boxing that like he's been around for like fucking decades, but he's a little like not a little, he's like very dirty. Like he rips people off. Like it's a lot of like backdoor dealing, that kind of shit.
It's the guy himself used to run a betting house, and he used to go and collect money from people. He was a very dirty guy. Like he would beat people up, he'd collect and stuff like that. He went to jail because he killed someone. Actually, did you know that Don King killed someone? He curb stomped them.
Holy fuck, I didn't know.
Yeah, so he was collecting $600 from a guy, and the police came. And while the police were there, he just stepped on the guy's head, like he kicked his head in, because Don King is very tall. Actually, he's a big guy. Yeah, and funny enough, people don't realize that Don King was a promoter who also had Muhammad Ali under his wing. So Muhammad Ali actually signed with
Don King.
And Rumble in the Jungle, which is the most famous, and Thriller in Manila, is the two most famous fights of Muhammad Ali, which was basically promoted by Don King. And Don King would like agree to them, like he gave in the, Rumble in the Jungle, he promised Muhammad Ali and George Foreman both 5 million. Didn't even have it at the time. Went to a country in Africa, and there was a dictator there at the time, and told him, listen, I can promise you you'll have the fight here. I need 10 million so I can pay these guys. Anyway, once he got those two, which were the largest fights in the world, he just became the promoter to be. And he found Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson didn't have Cus D'Amato. The thing about Don King is that he's very much a charmer. You know,
Correct.
he would go in there and he'd use this thing where he would be like, he told Muhammad Ali, he's like, Muhammad Ali, you have all these white promoters who are stealing money from you, brother. I'm black, we got to stay together and stuff. And that's how he got Muhammad Ali. And Don King was so ruthless that he even did it. And there are even theories that he got Mike Tyson through making him meet his wife. So like his future wife. So he's the one who strung it all together. And once Mike Tyson got married to this woman who, if you watch the documentaries, clearly didn't give two shits about Mike Tyson. Yeah. They say that the day they got married, she went to the management and said, I want to see all the books. I want to see how much money he makes. I want to be in control of it. Yeah. And funny enough, she and Don King started removing all these people that were close to Mike Tyson. Of course, if you see Mike Tyson before, then he never wore like fur coats and stuff. Once he met Don King, bro, they made him unhinged. He stopped training as much. When he went to Japan to have a huge fight, he was just spending it with his wife. And his wife was moving all of these people. I think the guy's name was Tom Henry or something like that. That was his striking coach. He was moving all these essential people and putting people that Don King wanted there.
It just replaced taking over the team and like exposing
and they were giving him cocaine, they were giving him this, and Cus D'Amato's team knew that Tyson liked alcohol, but they controlled it. They even stayed in the house that Cus D'Amato owned when he died. They stayed there, which was in the countryside. He would just focus on training. I feel like that's inevitable. Like he would have wanted to spend his money. He would even say in articles that in interviews, he's like, yeah, my life's kind of boring. I'm champion, but all I do is train. And, I don't really get to expend. But I'm looking at it from the long term. He said that. I'm looking at it that I become champion for long. And afterwards, I get to enjoy my time. The moment Don King went into it and his wife went there, man, you see it. And even Mike Tyson says it. Like Mike Tyson goes, there's an interview where it's him and his wife with a very, very popular U.S. News channel. And she says, yeah, he beats me. She's like, yeah, he gets physical. Sometimes he'll slap you around. And Mike Tyson's sitting there in the interview. And he says later on, he goes, I can't believe I didn't say anything.
Wait, I don't think I watched this one.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, I went deep yesterday into this.
That's crazy.
And imagine, so she then filed for divorce on him and got 10 million, at 10 million at the time was a lot. She got the house they were living in.
Bro, 10 million now is a lot. Like,
Yeah, but
For
then
Mike
it's
Tyson, like,
no. So
celebrity. I mean, like,
she went there and she took everything, and Mike Tyson was broke because he had a lot of lawsuits going on to him. And apparently, after that, he was like destroyed. He said he didn't have money, and Don King would extort him by saying, "Look, sign this contract," and which he did with a lot of fighters. Don King did. He said, "Look at this contract, sign it. I'll give you 60 million now." But actually, the guy was making Don King was making so much more, but giving him peas, and kept feeding him cocaine.
Jesus, Mike Tyson on cocaine is like a.
And imagine, yeah. So then later on, they found out that apparently someone had called the police because Mike Tyson had raped a girl who was, I think, around 17 or 18.
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. And they found an interview about the girl, what she said later. She said, "Oh, it's disgusting, yeah." She goes, "Oh, I heard about his wife, how she got so much money off him. So everyone was like, oh, I can fool Mike Tyson. I can get something out of him." Until this day, Mike Tyson, I don't believe he would do that. Although he did have anger issues. He did man, the trauma you have as a child will always stay with you.
Especially being around parents who you said were sex workers. So, like, this is a.
You know,
He had a rough childhood, man. Like, if he used to have, I don't know if he does this, but he used to have kind of like these. It wasn't like stand up, but it was like a one-man show type of things. And he would like, my dad actually went to it. I missed it, but he would like walk you through all his like highlights of his life story. And my dad told me it was like the craziest. Like when he was young, smoking up at the age of like 12, 13, and like robbing people, or like living in, I think it was in New York, right?
I don't know if it was Boston or New York.
I think New York. Just had a rough
I
childhood.
mean, I'm not saying it doesn't like having parents like that and everything justifying the act of like this.
No, you're not justifying. I know you're not saying that.
If there is no like hard proof that like he did it, then there is that possibility that he didn't. But like everyone would assume a guy with an anger issue, a guy with like coming from that kind of a background would be able to do something like that.
Yeah, but at the same time, I think at the time there was the whole thing, like for example with OJ, that like getting especially black celebrities of like high positions and like to court and everything, like that was a major part of the storyline as well. That like played a factor because like OJ got let loose basically. Yeah,
But
OJ on Twitter.
No,
Oh my
but
God.
you know what's funny is that the second segment of this is basically when Don King gets into his life, and this is where his boxing changes. Mike Tyson starts standing and doesn't move. He doesn't use his peekaboo technique anymore.
He's not training. He's not motivated. He doesn't
Exactly.
care.
So he
anymore.
wasn't training. He wasn't doing anything. And even like, you have some people who are around him where he'd have a championship fight the next day, and he was with like 7 or 8 Japanese chicks in his apartment.
They would lock him when he was in Japan. They would, I think he said this story on like Jimmy Fallon or something. Like they would keep him in his hotel room so he doesn't get out. He would start like banging maids and shit, like in the hotel rooms. Yeah.
After he was married.
Before-
After
No,
he was
he
married,
divorced.
before his
Divorced.
fight.
No, he divorced. He divorced.
Yeah, after his divorce, that's what I was.
So-
Not after some while he's like as a spouse. Like,
And imagine, yeah. So then his technique started changing. He still had that power because, dude, at 30 you get like 30 to 40 is when your strength hits its like the most.
30 to 35 for like mixed martial artists and like athletes in general. 30 to 35 is like the peak. Then you start like losing.
This applies for every athlete because like I'm saying, for example, I say soccer for just clearing it for like the US viewers, but
Don't
I'm saying
do
like
that. Football.
Okay,
No. So
that like what about that? Because I know like because
I would say like he's correct in martial arts. Like at
okay.
35, even lifting and stuff.
Yeah.
Your 35 is that your peak. Like you'll be the strongest at it. Of course, each person it depends on, right? But he started actually taking damage, and the whole point of Cus D'Amato's training was to actually minimize your damage by moving so much, and that's when people started seeing that he got wobbled, because dude, the people he were fighting at the time, they weren't bad people. Joe Frazier, all of these guys that were there, these people put Muhammad Ali on his ass,
Yeah.
But Muhammad Ali at the end of his career, and Joe Frazier, I remember when Muhammad Ali fought, when Mike Tyson fought him. He says it in the podcast. He goes like, I want you to knock him out. And Mike Tyson said, I'll do it for you. Because the day that Joe Frazier beat Muhammad Ali, Cus D'Amato was on the phone with Muhammad Ali. And he was like, how could you let that bum make you look like a ridiculous person and stuff? Like, it's unbelievable. And Mike Tyson, of course, was like, I'm going to knock him on the death.
Yeah, like he was young at the time. He's like,
I promise you.
When I get old, like when I fight him, I'm gonna like fuck him up. And then he did. And then I think Muhammad Ali came in the ring.
Muhammad Ali came before the fight and said to him, remember what you promised
Yeah,
me.
and then after like came in the ring, is like, oh, you got him, yeah.
Bro, you have to see, like, Mike Tyson, I'm telling you. And, people make mistakes and stuff, but this guy was in an era where he was surrounded by greatness. They weren't bad fighters. It wasn't like he was lucky because there were no people who were strong. George Foreman, Joe Frazier, there were so many guys there that were
like top talent.
And he would, like, I'll talk about George Foreman afterwards because he's very interesting as well. But anyway, when Don King came into his life, his technique became shitty. So what happened is that he started taking more damage, and the thing what was happening is that he became less disciplined. And Cus D'Amato always said, if this guy loses discipline, it's over. And you could see he then was put into jail for, I think it was 5 years, if I'm not mistaken, 5 years. And he was very young, so he still has some time.
Yeah.
When did he get his tattoo?
He got it later on. When he came out of prison, he didn't get it. He got it later on.
Oh, okay.
But when you see Mike Tyson come out of prison is when you see an animal that's been caged for
literally and figuratively, like,
man, all he did was train. And apparently,
legit like a movie, like the guy goes to prison, like doesn't do anything but train, like that was, and then there's a fight after it that, like, before the fight starts, they bring like both the boxers, the ref goes in the middle to clear the rules and everything, and they're just having a stare down. There's one that he's just staring at the guy's eyes, and then the guy, like, you can see he's like panicking, he's like looking to the other, you can see the fear in his eyes, and then you look at Tyson's face, he's like legit like a jaguar, just like with his eyes just following the guy, rocking left and right, like, and then he knocked him through the ropes, like the guy just like fell like a dead body on crack, like.
Bro, they were saying that
body on crack.
No, but the
a
thing
guy
is
on crack that died. I got the order mixed up.
no, but that's the thing. Like,
It's not the Michael Jackson music
That's
video.
what I'm saying, because zombies. That's what.
But the thing is that, like, when you see him come out of prison, and that first fight he talked about, man, the guy is like trying to like amp himself up. You just see Mike Tyson staring at him like he's lunch.
Bro, there's nothing like, how you see, like,
you don't see anything.
You look into like a lion's eye and you just no
There's
concern,
no emotion. There's no nothing, and
scary.
yeah, man. And he went through people, and again there was the old Mike, Mike Tyson that was back, but again, cocaine, and Evander Holyfield, he bit his ear off. But
Wait, you don't know this?
Wait, hold on. What?
There was another fighter that he was fighting, and the thing was that this is the part where he's correct. He said Mike Tyson would get frustrated when people wouldn't be knocked down.
Holyfield he's a fucking really good boxer, like really good fundamentals, and also like in his beliefs, it was like raised like very similar to what Cus did for Tyson, his mother did for Holyfield, that like put the belief in him and all of that. So he was like, I'm not gonna go anywhere. And then the fight keeps going on, and Tyson can't knock him out, and like he's running out of breath, and like he's being exposed.
But actually, sorry to cut you off.
Go on.
But also in that fight, there's a controversy. Evander Holyfield kept headbutting him.
One or two of them, yeah, but anyways, Tyson says, like, I mean, there's some like small headbutts and everything. Then Tyson gets pissed off and like wraps up his arms, bites his ear, takes a chunk out of his ear in the middle of the fight,
and spits it on the ground.
It should have been the end of the fight, but it wasn't. They let it go on. Tyson tried to bit his other ear.
Wait, hold up. Is that like in the boxing?
Is there video?
It's in the fight.
No, I'm saying during the fight, there are certain rules you can't like.
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Biting human flesh is not like you should get disqualified.
Well, he ripped the piece of his ear off, and the thing is that it wasn't like.
Bro, the guy still here to this day. He has like here looks like a mouse bit on him, like there's a chunk missing. Yeah.
But also, I think I forgot to say one thing. And
by the way, you keep looking at the paper like his notes.
But there's nothing.
Yeah, I know. I keep looking. I'm like, what the fuck is he looking at?
It's just interesting.
For exam, you write with invisible ink.
No, but also the thing is that Mike Tyson had been undefeated for so long, but before then I forgot to say he got knocked out guy called Buster Douglas. That's the first time Mike Tyson ever lost, and that was because this was when he was with his wife
And Don King.
and he wasn't training. But this is the whole thing that like is so motivational because people were writing off Buster Douglas. He was talented and stuff, but you can't hold anything to Mike Tyson. But Mike Tyson didn't know that Buster Douglas's mom died before the fight. And Buster Douglas, they even say he got knocked down, but just wouldn't refuse. He would refuse to quit. And Buster Douglas himself says that, when my mom died, I said, I promise I'm going to beat Mike Tyson for her. And he knocked out Mike Tyson. It was a great fight. Damn. There was some controversy that when Buster Douglas fell, that the count took too long, but he still knocked out Mike Tyson.
No, but that one is like, if you actually, I don't know if you've done this or not, but if you actually, so in boxing, in actually any martial arts sports, when the person falls, it's a knockdown, someone outside the ring starts counting as soon as they drop. And then they tell the ref, and the ref continues from that point on.
Okay.
But if you watch that video on YouTube, when he gets knocked down, instead of getting a 10 count, he gets like 13 or 14 seconds. That's the controversy that like he should have been out. Yeah. But they didn't do because I think originally the ref's back is to it, or like it doesn't like catch up to the fact that he got knocked down. He doesn't start counting right away. Yeah. And the person that was outside the ring either didn't count or didn't tell the ref, or there was something that happened. But the thing is that, this is all just his history, right?
And it's funny enough, Mike Tyson would try to go to his ex-wife's house to see her. And, he said that he wanted to hook up with her or something like that. You know who she was dating at the time? Brad Pitt.
What?
A young Brad Pitt. Like, he was 20 years old. And there was a time where she drove into the house while Mike Tyson was waiting outside and Brad Pitt was in the seat. Can you imagine how scared?
Fucking dangerous that is. How fucking dangerous. Bro,
Mike Tyson's like, who the fuck this?
Brad Pitt. Imagine if he killed him or some shit. Like,
bro, I feel like if he sneezed, he'd be dead. Like,
for anyone.
And this is a coked up Mike Tyson, who's just
even like Mike Tyson old without coke. Like, did you see that video of him a couple of years ago that some kid in the plane keeps fucking with him from the back seat?
Yeah, you don't need to be on cocaine to see one.
No. So Mike Tyson is sitting. Imagine there's a row behind him. There's a kid sitting behind him, and then there's a kid all the way on the other side filming this. And the kid keeps fucking with Tyson. After a while,
it's not a kid, by the way. He's like 20-something.
Yeah, compared to Tyson, he's a kid, but like he's not like 5. But
yeah,
Tyson
but
gets
from that, I thought
off.
it was like a little kid just kicking.
No. It was like a 20-something year old, and he's like, he keeps looking at the camera, smiling like, "Oh, look at me fucking with Tyson." Tyson just gets up over the chair, start beating the fuck out. And then you look at the pictures of after what happened to that kid. Fully deserved it, by the way.
Yeah.
Even if he died, deserved it.
Did he die?
No, but
let's just say his head got caved in.
If Tyson's bodyguard didn't come and pull Tyson back, by the way, still had a hard time pulling him back. But you can see that, like Tyson, like he gets triggered. Like once that trigger is on,
bro. That's this. But see, that's the thing, right? That's the most dangerous thing about him. Yeah, Mike Tyson. Like, you see, Mike Tyson. I give props to the guy, and I think that he's such a very interesting guy, and I think he really deserves the what's the word, redemption of his
100%.
Did you know that his daughter died? His young daughter died.
Why?
She was on a treadmill. She was maybe 5-6 years old.
Really young, yeah.
Bro, imagine she was on a treadmill, and you know how the treadmills have the safety cord?
Yeah.
It went around her neck and choked her.
Damn, that's such a weird thing to happen. Though.
Yeah.
Like it's
treadmills in general. There's a lot of accidents, like pieces of your body coming off and shit. A lot of people like
elaborate, please.
When you
pieces of your body
a lot of people like
just actually,
what the
no, but actually, yeah, fingers. A lot of people when they fall off, your immediate reaction is to grab on, right?
Makes sense.
So you grab onto the bottom part where you're running, and your finger gets like caught into the
It's like imagine like an escalator and just pulls your finger off.
Someone needs to show these videos to all these like fucking it's not Viners anymore. TikTokers who like just do pranks and just like
on treadmills and shit.
Yeah, they just pull up the speed and stuff. Like,
bro, treadmill fail videos are so funny because half the time you see like they fall off and they want to like save their like whatever, like dignity or whatever. So they try to come back on, but instead of going from the side and jumping on, they try to come back from behind and then they go shot. There's a video of Andrew Schultz. I don't know if you guys seen this or not. No. He's with his girl in this like private like building gym or something. He falls off and gets like almost thrown into the wall, into the fucking wall. So good.
But yeah, so I mean, Mike Tyson lost his daughter, and this was when he had retired and all. And you know, back to like, man, the guy would have interviews and people talking like, "Do you about your daughter?" And he'd get emotional. You know, I mean, he'd get so emotional. So. He would get so emotional, and then he would tell like, "There's one interview you guys have to see, and I hope we do put it like, we need to actually put the video to see like a second of it, where he tells the interviewer, "You have to leave now," and the way he says it, like he's crying, but it's so terrifying. He's like, "You do understand that you have to leave now, right?
For your own good." Like,
no, he didn't even say that. Yeah, he's just like, "You have to leave," and the guy goes, "Yeah, Michael, sure." Like, and he's like, "Take this thing off me," like the cable and stuff. Yeah. And Mike Tyson goes to him later and says, "I'm so sorry, but you understand that you have to leave." Like,
bro, everyone says that even to this day, when he walks into the room, the energy shifts. Like everyone is like watching their P's and Q's.
It's like best way to describe that is like, for example, if a wild animal like a tiger walks out of the cage in the zoo, like completely energy, because everyone's in danger if they do something wrong. So like, I feel like that's the best.
That's the thing. Funny enough, you said tiger. He actually had a white tiger as a pet, and he used to wrestle with it, bro. Full-grown white tiger. He used to play basketball, and then like come and be like, "Come on, let's play," and like he'd start punching the tiger and like wrestling with it.
And the thing he was saying about tigers, he actually I think said this on Rogan, that tigers aren't like, for example, like you get a dog, right? And dog or like a dog wolf dog, whatever they call it, and they understand that there's a family hierarchy and there's a family. But with tigers, they bond emotional bonds with just one individual, and everyone else is a threat. So for example, if you're Mike Tyson, you have children, the tiger bonds with you, the children coming in towards you and you showing them affection, your children now become the threat.
He'll eat them.
So having a tiger is like fucking like it, and like there's pictures of him fucking walking. I think we talked about this.
He walked on a leash,
on a chain,
man, on a chain, and bro, it's a huge tiger. And imagine the guy, like the guy wrestles with it. It's like near his neck. I think Mike Tyson was so feeling invincible. He'd be like, "Yeah, it could take it, but I'll knock him out."
Bro, there was an interview that was like they were asking him like, "So how did you like deal with that?" He's like, "Sometimes you gotta show dominance to the tiger." I'm like, "No, you fucking don't."
Like, shut your mouth.
He's like, "To the what? To the tiger?" Like, do you understand?
No, imagine like how us we call each other, "Oh man, my dog's doing something weird." Like, no, don't do that. Then hear him, "One thing, I gotta knock this motherfucker out."
Go fuck you till you love me.
He's gonna sleep for at least 8 hours.
No, but like all I can imagine is the tiger going like, and the tiger going,
takes a bite out of him.
But dude, I was just playing. What the fuck?
Yeah, man. But
I can't just imagine the tiger.
Like, the tiger's like, "Mike, chill, dude." Like, smoke some reefer.
Uncle.
We talk about the podcast. We talked about this on the phone because I was saying that like, when we move to a bigger house, I want to get like those like
tigers,
like a wolf or dogs. A tiger. And then she was like, "Don't go for a tiger because of this." I was like, "Huh, okay, never mind."
By the way, wolf dogs are not good for kids also.
Yeah,
wolf dog is not good for anyone, bro. In a house is not good.
I would get it, man. I would get it. Me and him.
Yeah,
I understand you'd get it. That's not the question. Yeah, I would love to get it too, but it's not good for the house.
Are you sure you'd want to get anything related to a wolf? Because you clearly have a vendetta towards wolves. Bro, they kill for fun.
Yeah, he'll join.
I would love to.
Like, don't get wrong. He actually would be like, "Let's go out and have some fun."
But like, you want to have fun? Check out this neighbor. Like, but this dickhead doesn't put his trash in the trash can. Let's go play a game.
An earth conscience.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Jeez.
Let's kill people, but forget never litter.
Only if you eat every part of him.
but yeah, but back to Mike Tyson. I mean, he was crazy and he had so much problems in his life. And Don King, when Don King basically like dropped him, he was like, "That guy's a snake and he's a crook." And later on they went to Don King and said, "Don King, why did you rob Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson?" And he goes, man, honestly, I wish I like he doesn't deny it, and he goes, the reason I like it is because bro, look at this
Sorry,
guy.
guys. Basically, the AC is really not working well in the studio, and Korosh is just like full on
My man's doing
fanning
exercise
the room with the door.
with the door. I hope the mic's catching up.
I mean, we appreciate you actually. 'Cause
No, I appreciate him a lot. Look at that. Look at that dedication. Bro, just how much longer do we have? Another hour. Oh, he stops. But yeah, so Don King says, so imagine Don King says, you know, they had so much money and, you know, they were broke before. So, you know, I had to rob them. So he openly admits he robbed them.
Kind of reminds me of. Did you guys watch the NWA movie Straight Outta Compton?
yeah, the manager.
Yeah, the manager.
Yeah,
the-
immediately when he was starting to describe
very
Don King,
similar
I
to
thought
that.
about
Yeah,
that.
very. Similar.
But imagine he doesn't have any remorse, and Mike Tyson goes like, that guy's a snake and fuck him and stuff, and Don King just admits it. But that's the thing, because the guy was a pimp, the guy was all this. You think he's gonna have shame when a guy tells him that? But who would want to cross Mike Tyson?
That guy.
He did. So
But the nice part is that when you listen to Mike Tyson interviews now, and they ask him like, "What makes you happy?" or "What's the happiest moments of you?" is like when I have no money. And even now, when like a couple of years ago, he fought Roy Jones Jr. as like a charity match. He's like, "I don't want the money. Give it to charity." He's like, as soon as you get money, all the
Temptation.
fucking leeches and like all the
it's not
vultures.
just temptations, the people, like because
No, but he also had temptation, bro.
Yeah, 100% with power. Like money gives power, and then with power comes temptation. But I'm saying like just how you were describing it, it's a circle that surrounds you that could be toxic, and like what's their goal from being around you, and how that will corrupt and like cause your fall. And you're saying that like, oh, he was doing great, and then the manager and the ex-wife, what was the ex-wife and the manager doing? But we're like trying to make sure that the people around him were the people that they're under the circle's control, not his control. So they're not looking out for his best.
Now Jamie Foxx is gonna play him in a movie.
I want to see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Jamie Foxx nearly died. Yeah.
Wait, I was gonna ask, he's okay now? Like
He's okay
He's
now.
better. Apparently, he's recovering.
talented motherfucker, by the way.
I love him. I
Yeah.
love him. I used to not like him, but I love him.
Comedian.
Comedy,
Music.
but like
Movies,
music
yeah.
and like have you seen how he does the Trump voice?
Impressionist.
Trump with the Dave Chappelle one.
Why-
The Dave
just-
Chappelle one is so good, man.
I think one of his first comedy sketches where it was in the Chappelle show.
Was it?
Yeah, I think so.
I've never actually watched the Chappelle show.
It's very good.
Really?
Very good.
Never
I
watched it.
think it's
good?
Nothing
Or you
It's
don't
amazing. I love it.
It's really, really good.
Dave Chappelle is the top comedian for me.
If you watch the Chappelle show and then watch the stand-ups that he explains how he was feeling about it
Makes sense.
and everything like that, it just like puts a lot of things in perspective because you don't necessarily need to see the show to watch the stand-up
Yeah,
to
of
get the
course.
story
Yeah.
of, like his art, that he just is a storyteller. But when you watch it and you see how great it was and like why did it leave, like then you can like how can you say, resonate with the audience, how they were disappointed about the
show
ending, what happened, he just disappeared and stuff like that, and he just goes detail
Dark,
about Chappelle is just like is one of a kind. Like in comedy, I don't think
He
there's
wasn't
any-
like literally like the short version. He wouldn't sell out to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean,
I know the story. I never watched
Yeah,
the
I
show.
know.
But did you guys hear about Sound of Freedom, the movie that's coming out?
I already plan to watch it. Yeah.
I'm surprised they're showing it in cinemas.
Are they showing it here?
Yeah, yeah. They added
what's the
it's
show?
I think if I'm not wrong, it's about this like child molesting I think is it
It's
in
a
Hollywood
pedophile
or-
sex ring. So basically, it's about how the sex industry for children, like little children, being brought to these elites. Hollywood, they even bring up Hollywood, and Mel Gibson is actually like one of the people who are an advocate for it. And it was a movie out of nowhere, but it did so well because it really brought up like, you know, actual interesting. I'm not gonna say facts because it could be disputed about Hollywood, But yeah, Hollywood really doesn't like the
Wait,
video.
Mel Gibson is in support of the movie or the child molesting?
Obviously,
The-
the,
the
movie.
ch- the
you
movie,
know?
bro, Mel
Like-
Gibson.
Well, I don't know.
No.
You said Hollywood and then threw Mel
Yeah,
Gibson.
but
No,
when
no,
he said advocate of the thing, I was like, you need to specify
No,
which
he's
part
he's
of
an
it.
advocate of the movie of
You're right,
itself
you're
and
right.
exposing the sex
Well,
ring.
apparently the movie is like not getting nearly as much publicity as it should because Hollywood is
Hollywood,
kind
of
of like
course.
Of course,
blacklisting it. Yeah.
Bro, I mean, Epstein had all these people in his house, all these Hollywood directors and all these kind of stuff.
Bro, the
so-
best part about that is Alex Jones. There's a clip of him now going viral, but it's relatively old. But he's in court and they're trying to like, I don't know what the accusation is, why he's in court, but they're asking him like, you know how they set up in courtrooms that like, also in the past you've said this and you have to agree. They're like, so you talked about like people in politics being like child molesters and all of that. He's like, yeah, like Epstein with Bill Clinton and everyone. And then everyone in court, even the judge just looks down like he's like,
What was it that they were suing him for, like the GDP of India, like three
something
trillion
outrageous.
dollars? Like,
yeah.
He was like,
what the fuck you
I
want?
don't have the money, man. I mean, they can go for it, but I don't have the money for it. Like, the way
GDP
it
of a
sounds.
small country, man.
Sorry, you wanted to talk about George Foreman as well,
Yeah, I mean, like I think I
because I know more about Tyson, Mike Tyson, but like George Foreman is not a very.
I think I'll just say one thing about Mike Tyson and what I've discovered from watching this is that he is a damaged individual that's really tried hard to change himself and learn more about himself. And when you find out more about his life, and you know, he doesn't give himself excuses. It's all actual news that comes out, and then you see how he dealt. He's a guy that shows his emotions, and for being a killer like he is, it really is a refreshing way of looking at it.
It legit like if it was a movie, you know, like let's say like a samurai like type of movie, like you see that like old fighter that like has the wisdom and like he's reflecting back on, like it legit gives that vibe that
But
like
why don't they make a movie about it? Like
they
wha-
want the Jamie Foxx thing has been in the works for years, but I
yeah,
don't know
but
why it
it's
doesn't
not
happen.
like it's not having that importance. Like if you look at The Blind Side, right? One example, okay. It's like literally the same. Cus D'Amato adopted this guy. Did all
Actually
these
adopted
things.
him.
Actually adopted him.
Oh, actually no, they didn't actually.
No, but I mean, is that he took him under his wing. He never exposed him, never did anything like that. And because of Mike Tyson, what happened later on, if proven or not, like it's such an amazing story. And the guy, look at him now. He's an emotional, vulnerable guy who talks about his feelings, you know, and he respects a lot of people. Like you see him when he deals with people, when he's on his podcast. He has a lot. He tells you who. Like imagine looking at Mike Tyson and him telling you that Muhammad Ali was my idol. This guy was my idol, and he gets emotional about it. And he talks about how, you know, one of the craziest things. He talks about how he himself, he's no longer that animal, and he misses that animal, but at the same time, that animal wasn't really good for him.
Yeah,
You know?
like what comes with it.
I mean, it could be generational thing as well, because if you think about it, go to some of the gyms here and even in the States, for example, you always have that like Muhammad Ali picture that after the knockout, and then like you have that, and then because Muhammad Ali's everyone idolizing him and everything was so big, and then now Mike Tyson is retired, so not the new generation like the Conor McGregor, for example. Not the same. I'm just saying Conor McGregor that has, if there's a show, if there's a documentary, or if there's a movie about him, more people will go and watch him because they were around that era more than like, for example,
The thing with
Tyson.
Muhammad Ali is tricky is that it was a lot more about what he did outside the ring,
True.
like refusing to go to war and then taking his boxing license away because he refused to join the military and all of that. Like,
There's
that
more
made-
to it than just
it's like
what's happening.
it's
in the
true
ring.
that Tyson is known around the world, even if you're not a boxing fan.
Yeah,
But it was with Muhammad Ali as well, and the reasoning for it was,
And it was in a more of a positive
yeah,
note.
yeah. Tyson has always had, like, obviously before he retired, but had more negative connotation to, like, a lot of people loved his boxing and everything, like the aggressiveness and all of that, but a lot of people hated him because of the outside the ring factors, like crashing his car and trying to pay off the cops or the prostitutes or the drinking or what he said, the way he would talk in interviews and all of that. I think like he's really gonna get appreciappreciated after he dies. Right now, he's
Which is
obvious-
sad, man,
It's
which is
very
sad.
sad, very very sad. he's obviously appreciated by a lot of people, by hardcore like fans and all of that, but like by the general population, maybe not as much. But I think after he dies and they focus more on making documentaries, or if this movie comes out, because Jamie Foxx, this movie has been in the works for a couple of years, and Jamie Foxx was talking about how he knew Tyson when he was that animal, and he has a relationship with Tyson now, and he was saying that making the movie from the perspective of when he was an animal is wrong. You have to make the movie from his perspective now, who he is now, how calm he is, and his reflection, all of that.
Do a multiple timeline kind of a thing, maybe.
Yeah, so the movie has the potential of like bringing, if they do it right. I wish they did a series on him instead of a movie.
There is a series.
Yeah, but that's not.
I haven't seen it though, but there's a series.
Tyson sued them. So
Did
Tyson sued the series because I don't know, there was something that like they did something without his permission. So I can't imagine it's that good.
Can I ask a question? What do you think about? Just I want to get your thoughts about this. Let's say take Mike Tyson as an example. Actually, a better one that like David Goggins. Okay. No, relax. I'm not gonna go full mode Goggins now, but like David Goggins, for example. Like if you're a hardcore fan of him, you know his life story, you know his background and everything. And then later on, you see people just like using him as a reference for, again, this could be a general thing that applies to other celebrities as well. And then like when it dies off, people start becoming a fan and everything. Do you still respect the person who becomes a fan after not knowing it? Or like, do you have a sort of a judgment about the fact that, oh, you don't even know, like, oh, you don't have that kind of, again,
you always want to be that guy. You want to be like, oh, I knew him before everyone knew him. But the reality is like, for example, with Conor McGregor, right? I didn't know Conor coming up. I didn't even know UFC. The first UFC fight I ever watched was that iconic fight that Conor won the belt for the first time and knocked the guy out in like 10 seconds or 13 seconds.
Zelda.
So like a lot of people can say like, oh, I was a fan of him when he wasn't even in
True
the
fan.
UFC.
Yeah,
like,
true fan.
But like, I don't know. I don't think it carries that much weight. Like if you become a fan later, like it doesn't make you less of a fan. Like it's that whole tribalism thing that like you want to say that like, oh, I was there from the beginning. Or like people say it with like singer or songwriters, like I used to listen to your shit before anyone knew who you were, you know? But I don't think it actually makes a difference.
I mean, the only person I would say I have that kind of a thing for, which I say I agree with you. It's not right to be like, oh, you don't deserve to be a fan or whatever, because like, so what? Like you just discovered them.
It
good.
doesn't
like,
mean anything.
Take all the good values, but the only person out, or again, it's very, maybe it's narrow-minded, but like it's the only artist, not even like that I'll think about is like Post Malone, because I think that his work kind of became radio song kind of a style and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously people on social media platforms, everything using his songs and becoming a fan of him and everything. But his music had so much depth more, in my opinion, before than now. Still great artist, but like before it was much better. So when I go to a concert and people like the songs that he sings about, like the current albums, I don't appreciate it much because like those songs are actually much better in my opinion.
Your
personal,
opinion.
in your
I mean,
opinion.
yeah, my opinion.
But also this whole thing of like, oh, you became a fan later thing. Back in the day, maybe that would mean something, but now it's not like, oh, I can't go back and watch the fights or the songs. You know, like
you're so exposed to, because of social media and in general, you're exposed to so many celebrities, like artists in every form or shape that like, how can you blame someone for not knowing it, because there's like 50,000 ones to like go into them. Like
I don't know. I just don't. I can't connect with that way of. I don't even understand what the conclusion is. Okay, so you know him, but like.
No, I'm saying again.
No. I don't mean with what you said about Post Malone. With what you said before, like, okay, good for you. Like,
I was
you want to
just thinking,
cook.
I wanted to get your opinions about it. Like,
I get what you're saying, but that's only in a comparison between. Look, if I'm a fan of someone, it's not anyone else's business, right? So if I'm comparing myself with someone else, yeah, people can bring up that as a, I was there in the beginning. For me, the reason why I went more in depth with Mike Tyson, okay, I used to see he was a crazy fighter, but my brother used to really go into it a lot. My brother used to watch his documentaries, and my brother told me, he had a messed up childhood, and he was actually a very emotional guy. So I watched it myself, and I saw a lot of, there was a lot more to the person. So I now consider myself, I think myself, I'm more of a fan than I was before, and I understand more of what went through on his life. And I'm happy he's still alive, because if he ever came to Dubai, I'd love to go and, literally ask him some questions, because I think what he went to was sort of, it was televised and stuff, but we all have our demons, Another
Sorry,
example.
Before you move on, that thing that you were saying, I think the only time that matters, the I was a fan before type of thing, for example, with Tyson, right? I don't think let's say we sit down, watch all his fights or whatever, right? Obviously, you watch the fight, you see all of that, but you can't recreate that vibe that like when our fathers would watch the fight live, and that in that time
You
period.
already
And
know
the-
he's what he is now. It
Yeah.
was the making of the
yeah, I think
star. So like, if you're going through the journey of him becoming the great that he is,
becoming the great, and also the vibe that was around him. Like if you go to a live event, if you went to a live Mike Tyson fight,
Yeah.
if you were that fan that was there that day, or me as who I am today, and I watched that fight on YouTube, you can't say that like, you can't say you're not the same level of fan, but you can't say you've experienced the same Mike Tyson that
the
you know,
rise of the star, basically. You didn't.
It's not even the rise; it's the
it's just the
vibe,
experience.
The
It's just
experience.
experience.
Like if you
that itself
yeah.
is what I'm trying
yeah,
to say.
I think that's the only difference.
And I think about the whole artist thing, or like star thing, about the songwriter, for example, Post Malone that I mentioned, is about the fact that the style changes and there's a difference between it. A boxer is great he is and everything like that.
Yeah.
Losses, wins, yes, you have certain experiences that you like go alongside of. But someone who's like a songwriter, if their style changes, if you're a
don't
fan
get that
now,
back.
you didn't get the one
Yeah.
before.
I think- yeah.
Like,
I think it only matters if you see like Mike Tyson. When I first heard about this rape allegation, to be honest, I'll be very, very honest with you guys, I thought it was true. I don't know the guy. He looked mean. He looked all this kind of stuff. So I'm like, dude, I wouldn't be surprised if he did it, right?
Yeah.
I think the only way you could distinguish a true fan to someone who isn't a fan is when they become situational fans. When the person is popular, that's when you love him.
Yeah.
When he has some sort of tribulation, or he's in the media for something bad, and you're like, you know what? I'll fuck that guy.
Louis C.K.
Yeah.
I'm a hardcore fan of Louis C.K.
Yeah, so I would say that then you yourself are someone who stuck out with him, and that's considered more of a fan than someone that, once shit happened to him, they're like, yeah, fuck that guy. And then he gets acquitted,
Then it comes back.
and you're like, oh yeah, no, I've always loved the guy. That's a situational kind of thing. And that's,
See, I get a lot of hates with like friends that like MMA and shit. Is me and Connor. Well, no, not that. Like I know
You
him.
guys
like-
Yeah, my buddy.
you guys hang out?
No, but like he was the guy that got me interested in the sport, and the passion that he created in me for the sport. Obviously, he went down a very like dark route, like beating up old people and throwing fucking chairs through buses and all of that. But like, I still like, I can't like, to me, like, it's not what he's doing now, it's what he did before that brought me into the sport. So I'm always gonna be a fan. I don't enjoy what he did outside the ring. I mean, I kind of did, to be honest, when he threw the chair through the bus.
What was the
But-
reason for that?
So he had this friend, his name was Artem. And at the time, Connor had a lot of beef with this other guy called Khabib. I'm sure you've heard of
Yes.
his name. So Khabib and his gang get this Artem guy like cornered somewhere alone and like grab his neck and like all of that. And then Connor is like, fuck it. So he loaded a bunch of people on a plane, flew to Las Vegas, and then Khabib was on a bus after a UFC event or before a UFC event or something. He took like a metal dolly, like those massive ones, threw it through the bus window, and the glass broke and went into a whole bunch of fighters' like eyes and foreheads and shit.
Damn.
So he got
Both,
like
but both camps were like fucking
it was
around
getting
each
out of
other.
hand. Like that one was like the build up to that fight got like real nasty, like saying shit about each other's religions, wives, and like it was.
Khabib never said anything.
No. Connor said it about that, and then even after Khabib beat Connor, Khabib jumped outside the ring to go beat up this other dude,
Dylan Dallas.
Dylan Dennis, in the crowd. And then when he jumped out, Khabib's gang jumped in the ring. And Connor, that's already been beaten, he tapped. He's gassed out, sitting in the side. 2 or 3 guys come and try to like punch him and shit.
Damn.
It became like more than just a normal like
It was
competition.
like hooligans and stuff like that. Like
It
was-
became like gang wars basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, I get you. The thing is that you see, even with Connor galvanized the sport. He brought it back. UFC was at a level. He brought it up, and he did a lot of good things for the sport because people got paid more and stuff.
Yeah.
But the shame of it is that I'm a fan of Connor, but what he's doing now is like it's killing it. It's, you see, he doesn't have to get money, but people love him for the fighter he is, and he's still not old that he should retire. But he's playing the game where he's like, oh, you miss that hunger. You miss that hunger. he
His
had.
career is a copy of Tyson. I don't mean the anger parts and like how he fights and shit, but he was this guy who was unbeatable, came up, went through everyone, got money. People around him are like not the same anymore. He's doing drugs, 100%.
His camp never changed.
His camp never changed, but if you look at interviews before, the coaches were actually coaching him. As his career goes along and you see interviews, he's saying that like he's telling the coaches what to do, and like everyone became like a yes man type of thing.
But that's just him. Like I get what you mean, right? I get what you mean that he's lost the discipline. He's doing all this kind of stuff. I wouldn't compare him to Mike Tyson because
No, I don't mean like it's an exact copy, but the trajectory is like they reached the peak, they got money, they lost the fire.
A lot of people,
right? Yeah.
But you see the redemption story with Mike Tyson is completely different. And maybe Conor, you see the way Conor's doing it now is that Conor never had that plunge of his life being completely zero. He came as a plumber.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson came from the streets, right?
Yeah.
They both went up to a certain level.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor is still reaping the fruits of what he's done.
That's true.
There's no going to jail, starting from scratch, having this. And Conor's very lucky to have that.
Yeah.
You know, he's smart. He's a businessman and stuff. What I, as a fan, I miss seeing Conor fight because Conor has such
Fights
great.
when he was like into it.
Yeah,
Not
into
the
it.
bullshit.
Yeah,
like,
not going in there because I need to keep myself relevant and stuff. But again, that's the difference. And you being a true fan is, look, you got to support the guy unless it's like proven and you see and like this guy killed people and stuff like that. That's when you don't have to stay with him through thick and thin. But yeah,
No, I mean, there are certain principles that you hold as an individual.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you idolize or like respect of whoever it is, like if it crosses that line, you have to be like, am I more true to the fact that I'm a fan of this guy or more true to the principles that I hold?
no, but like people like still listen to R. Kelly songs,
Bro, I have like, for example,
but
like
you're
it's
just listening to his songs. You're not listening to him talk. Like you know what I mean? Like you're not like
I mean, have
I
you listened
support
to
what he
his,
says.
like some of his songs is just talking? Is like
I'm proud to say that I never ever got this R&B R. Kelly stuff. So,
bro, there's one R. Kelly song I gotta play for you.
the one that they played on Rogan.
Yeah.
The midget and the
No, it's a different one. He's just legit like he's not even singing. He's just talking to his girl about like how he's convincing her how he didn't cheat on her. But he gets very aggressive. He's like, "You bitch! You didn't see me in the club with that other girl." Like,
it is that song.
Is it that?
Yeah,
I
it's
don't
a
remember.
long one because
Yeah,
he's
it's
talking
like 6 minutes of him just talking to the girl.
Baby, I don't want to dance.
It's so good.
No, but like for regarding that, like there is a part where you have to separate the arts of an artist from the life outside of it itself.
Yeah, 100%.
For example, Kevin Spacey, okay, extremely messed up, like regarding like what he was like, what he did and everything, right? The whole kid and stuff. But like at the same time, I believe like his acting is one of a kind. Like, have you watched the movie Seven with Brad Pitt?
Yeah.
very good movie.
Such a good fucking movie.
Kevin Spacey has a whole bunch of good shit, to be honest.
House of Cards. Like I
House of
stopped
Cards.
watching House of Cards after he left the show. Like
It continued without him.
yeah, the
I don't
wife
even
became the president and stuff like that. It was like a whole thing.
I did not know that.
I didn't even
And
know.
then it
I
stopped.
thought that was the end of it.
After he fell out and everything like that. But like again, like yeah, sure, he himself was wrong for all he did, but it's not like I can't be blamed for liking something.
Yeah.
Because
No,
I'm
but
not aware of what was happening. Whoever enjoyed his art while he was doing shit in the dark and no one knew about it.
So what? He fucked
Enjoyed
a
it.
couple kids.
No, that's fucked up. No, but in general,
That's what
it
people say
hasn't
about
been
Mike.
proven, by the way. Huh? It hasn't been proven. He got acquitted.
Did he?
Yeah, he got acquitted. You didn't see his speech.
No.
no,
Your boy
all-
Kevin's good now, man.
He's making a comeback?
Yeah, he's coming.
Yeah,
back.
yeah, he's coming
There's a movie
Like,
coming out with him.
Coming on bags or like
No,
no. No.
But man, these redemption stories for me are so addicting. Like, funny enough, we kept talking about George Foreman.
no,
Yeah. So George Foreman, like at the age of 14, 15, was like 6 foot. Yeah.
Jesus, sir.
Just 6 foot. I think he was 6'5" by the time he fully grew up. Yeah. He himself was in a mean area, poverty. got into boxing because people used to actually come to him. Other neighborhoods would look to fight a 13-year-old because of how big he was. So he always had to act mean. But apparently he was the nicest guy you knew. But to survive in the streets, he had to be very mean. And he used to rob houses and sell drugs. And I remember one time that they went to go rob a house, and one of the kids that rang the doorbell, the guy who lived in the house just responded by shooting him in the face because he, So they had to run, and the police came, and George Foreman had to actually, because they had dogs at the time, the police dogs. So George Foreman had to go under a house and cover himself in mud. And once the dog left, at that moment he's like, "Listen, I'm never gonna do this shit again. I need to get out of this life."
Bro, imagine it's like one of those like religious people that come to your door to like Mormon.
No, the guy knew that he was being robbed.
Oh,
so
okay. I just thought randomly. Fuck it. I don't know who it is. Amazon delivery. Bam, bam.
Yeah,
Do I have time to talk about Jesus?
You go talk to him directly.
Why don't you ask him?
Tell him I said hi, bitch.
But the thing is,
Say hi to Lucifer, motherfucker. Like,
I follow Lucifer.
Girl Scout cookies. Would you like some?
I only buy
oh, like all of them. Give me all of them.
I only buy from Boy Scouts. But so George Foreman.
Ding dong ditch.
Yeah, ding dong, get in the ditch. Like,
That's really good. That was really good.
that was good.
But
Sorry.
so George Foreman himself was in a very shitty neighborhood, and he, after that scenario, was like, I need to change my life, otherwise I'm not going to survive. He got into boxing and was undefeated, and was younger than Muhammad Ali, and was just plowing through every opponent he had. And of course he had to act very mean because he himself had to put that persona. He had to show like he wanted to defeat his opponents outside the ring before he got inside. So he was very mean, and you'd see his interviews where he'd talk to people and be like, if you don't believe it, why don't you try yourself? Or let's go outside and I'll show you how hard I hit. He had that persona, and it vilified him. And Muhammad Ali was like he was
The golden child.
he was the golden child. So when they had Rumble in the Jungle, Muhammad Ali went to Africa before him and got all the people to say Ali Boumbaye, which means, Ali, kill him. So George Foreman
That's what Boombaye means.
Yeah. Yeah, kill him.
Well, you've been saying it to people or something? Like,
No, it's not like, yo, Boombaye.
Daddy Boumbaye. Whoa.
No, but I just didn't know. Like, it's such a soft tone to it, but it's like
well, depends how you say it. Like, Boombaye.
Boombaye. It's still like
Boombaye.
So George
Just see
Foreman.
Barry and Corford telling people, oh, Boombaye.
Hakuna Matata. But those are the only two words you know. It means no worries. Kill him. But so George Foreman already was a villain there, and George Foreman. The thing that had happened is that when he lost to Muhammad Ali, his career like nosedived. He had been knocked out, and everyone says that George Foreman is the reason why Muhammad Ali actually got Parkinson's, because
the rope and dope, right?
because George Foreman would he still I don't know if it's him or Joe Frazier, but has the strongest punch record in history. Like they measure
I
the
think
punch.
Ngannou broke it.
We'll see.
who?
Francis Ngannou is this MMA
He's a
guy.
UFC guy. But George Foreman would just plow through people. Like he didn't need to really do a strategy. He just punched them and they drop. And Muhammad Ali was older, and Muhammad Ali, people would say like, Muhammad Ali, you can't stand with this guy, and if he catches you, you're going to be finished. But Muhammad Ali wanted to prove a point. So Muhammad Ali, I think they had 12 rounds. For 8 rounds, he would just stand on the ropes and get destroyed by George Foreman.
He was trying to gas him out, basically. Just
Exactly.
hit me with... Like, remember that time we went in the ring and I just told you, like, you're going to gas out?
Yeah.
He did that to him, but on a fucking professional
But
level.
imagine that each punch is like shattering your internal organs. Yeah, and he was getting punched in the face. And Muhammad Ali would whisper, like, say in his ear, I can't feel anything. You're so weak. You're so
Is that all you got? Like,
Is that all
kind
you
of-
got? And you'd see Muhammad Ali going to his ear and saying, like, is that all you can do? You're a chump. You're this. So George Foreman kept going. And George Foreman got gassed out. And when he was, dizzy because of how much he was hitting, Muhammad Ali just went for him and knocked him on the floor. Not knocked him passed out, but the guy couldn't even get up anymore. Like he was gassed. And Muhammad Ali had that strategy. And this will be very important later on what I say, because Muhammad Ali showed that experience can beat strength every time. Yeah. He showed it, I'm saying.
No, I understand, but at the same time, there was a lot of risk factors here because for 8 rounds, you're just taking punches.
Oh, 100%.
So-
It's not like a low risk strategy.
Yeah, so like if
It's very high,
like
but-
let's not even get to 8th, by the 4th round, if the guy like continuously hit that, you know when you play the MMA game on PlayStation, you just keeps hitting, and then like all of a sudden the bruise starts and it shows you where it is, and you keep hitting it. So if that continued, like he could have had like organ failure on the spot and just dropped. Like,
But that's the thing. That was that was the risk for Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad
high
Ali.
reward, high risk, high
Yeah,
reward.
yeah, exactly. So, but later on, Muhammad Ali didn't get away free. He had, developed Parkinson's.
Proven that that's the.
They said that most
causation.
likely it's the trauma to his brain that might have offset this thing.
Okay.
But the thing is that after that, George Foreman's career went down, and people were like, he's no longer invincible. He got schooled by Muhammad Ali. He got ridiculed. You even see the video. Everyone runs to Muhammad Ali, and George Foreman just jumps out of the ring and walks away, and everyone's just like, fuck that guy, and they go. So George Foreman himself tried to do a redemption, and he was like, I can beat anyone. And he even made a tournament. Imagine he made a tournament where he fought 4 boxers in the same night.
Which is insane, by the way.
I understand.
And George Foreman in the video is just going, a guy drops. And then he got so pissed that people were coming up to him saying, yo, the fight's done, stop. And he punches the guy who's talking to him.
Sorry, have you seen that video of the guy slapping everyone?
It was exactly the same. That video of
That
people
video.
being slapped. Man, and George Foreman is so tall. And he's just
built
so
like a
mean.
fridge. Like he's so thick.
If Mike Tyson's a fridge, this guy's 2 fridges. Yeah?
Side by side.
On top. And
it's
side by
not
side.
just the top. It's even like his thickness.
No, you
he's
know the
thick.
fridge kind side
Party,
by side. That's
party,
right.
if you can find this, yeah? There's a photo of George Foreman's fist. His fist is a
It's a
coconut.
club, like-
It's a bro, it's huge. And this guy used punch. That's what killed Muhammad Ali. Those things killed Muhammad Ali. And the thing is that,
Well, most probably.
yeah, like
me-
95%, but it's not so good. And in that fight, he was so, his confidence had been shattered that he just started fighting anyone who came into the ring. Like he was pushing people. He was pissed, and he was punching. I think it was an announcer or something. And the announcer acted like he wanted to fight him. He's like, "Hey, what the fuck, man?"
Everyone can get it.
Yeah, but that's what was happening. And imagine the guy he was punching was like, "Hey," and he tried pushing Foreman. And bro, just
He
take it.
pushes Roman. It's like,
Bro, there's a video of who Floyd is, Floyd Mayweather. There's a video of him after I think he wins a fight. The announcer is like this fucking 60-year-old guy. I don't know what happened. Have you seen this? This 60-year-old guy, like he's interviewing and something happens that like he's saying like, oh, you don't talk fairly about me or some shit. And the guy's like, oh, young man, back in my day, I would have like given you a lesson or some shit. Like, shut the fuck up, you old fuck.
He's an announcer, yeah. He's like an old white guy, and he's like, "Yeah, you have no respect." And he's like, "Fuck you." And he's like, "Back in my day, I would kick your ass." But the thing is that with
there's a lot of things that goes into that. Like,
yeah,
because you get what I mean.
Yeah, it wasn't. He's not that old.
I mean,
no, it was white hair and stuff. Like it was old dude.
60-year-old, 60s, 70s. Like,
Yeah, okay. But the thing is that with George Foreman, so he went into a spiral, started drinking and all this, and funny enough, he started becoming religious. Complete 180. He was saying that he couldn't be himself, and he felt trapped within himself because he had to put this persona of being such an evil guy, and always looking so angry, and he regretted it. But then what had happened is that he took a break and actually stopped fighting in general, and he actually became a pastor, a priest.
yeah.
For a bit, and he started spreading the word of God, and I think he did it for 10 years. He took his money and he opened a youth center and started teaching kids how to box, and used all his money on that. And you could see videos of him joking, making jokes, and 10 years down the line, he's 43 years old. He has no more money and says, "I want to go back into professional boxing." Professional boxing, not this celebrity kind of shit you see now. So he goes back into heavyweight.
Age of 43.
Age of 43. And people are like, "Man, you're crazy." And all these announcers are like, "Dude, you can't do anything." He knocks every fucker out at 43 years old. He knocks people out in his fights. It's the same strength he has. But he looks old. Like he doesn't have his 6-pack and stuff. He's got a belly and stuff like that. He beats people. I think he lost 1 or 2, but still continues and said, "I'm going to keep fighting because I need the money. I want to build this youth center." And by the way, he had no money. He was like 0. Yeah. Because he had this new personality and he was actually himself, people started to love him. He became a sensation. He started getting paid a lot of money.
At that point, Muhammad Ali was retired.
Yeah. Muhammad Ali was
Long gone.
Yeah.
And Mike Tyson was still there. And Mike Tyson said that, if George Foreman wants it, he can get it. Yeah. And George Foreman said recently, he's like, "Thank God I didn't fight Mike Tyson because he would shit on me." And the thing is that he was still fighting, but he had a championship fight. He lost, right? But then people were talking that, George Foreman is such a big name. So one champion at the time was like, "You know what? No one's knocked out George Foreman. Let me knock him out."
Let me clean up the job.
And this guy was, I think, 24, 25 or something. Very young guy. And he was strong-ass guy. Dude, the guy fights George Foreman and destroys George Foreman. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, George Foreman's so old, so weak." You know what George Foreman did? He rope-a-doped him. George Foreman waited, and every time he punched the kid, because the kid was so fast, he used 10% of his strength. 10% of his strength. And then because the kid was bopping and weaving and moving, George Foreman waited till the guy got so confident that he wouldn't move anymore and just brains him and wins the championship at 43.
Damn.
World champion.
And a fan favorite at the time.
Yeah. At 43 years old, he came back 10 years not doing anything. And
I mean, there was certainly some training because he was training kids. Like, I'm not saying
it's very different.
No, I understand. I'm just saying it's not like he was sitting on the couch like the whole time.
Yeah.
At least he was active enough to be able to get back.
And imagine
while
while being champion, he had the George Foreman grill that actually made him the most money.
Did you know
no,
you never heard of Foreman Grill, George Foreman Grill? You buy it in Carrefour and shit, like the
It's
sandwich
it's
maker.
like the most
That's
premium grill out there, and it's George Foreman.
And it's not like super expensive or anything.
Yeah.
Dope.
It made him the most money. And the thing is that George Foreman, imagine being before where he wouldn't take video, like he wouldn't take any interviews and stuff. Before his fights, where he was at 43, he was making videos with kids eating food, and they're like, "George, you're eating too much," and like he was on kid shows and stuff like that. Yeah. And this guy turned his life around, and he at 43 proved he could be champion.
Wow.
So I mean, like for me, that's when I watched this yesterday, I was like, dude, this is. They even made a movie recently about George Foreman.
You mean the links? So we put the links to these documentaries and everything in the.
Sure.
Because a lot of people now are getting interested back into boxing for whatever reason, if it's like Jake Paul, like celebrity kind of thing or whatever. But a lot of new people, especially our age, are getting interested into boxing, but they don't know like all the great like, fights of history.
Man, the legends. But the thing is that what's so beautiful about these two cases is that the beauty is the getting hit down and coming back up even stronger. Whether it's winning or whether it's being actually
Just
a better
coming
person.
back, yeah.
So, I mean.
It's a good lesson. Well, I think we should end it here for today.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this episode of podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like our content, and check out our social media channels as well. We will see you next Sunday.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.